Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Meet Menaca, celebrating you. Today, we are going to be speaking about a very interesting topic. Is living together still a taboo? Just to give a background, how this conversation starter was integrated into this program. Me and one of my English friends, we were having a conversation one day, and we were generally chatting the differences in the culture. And she said, why do you even want to speak about, is it like everyone lives together? I said, not really. In our culture, it is frowned upon. So she said, oh, I never knew that. So that is how this topic was chosen. And the conversation starter was deemed necessary to be on this list. And of course, the committee members then had a say whether to air it or not to air it. And here we are. I am really pleased to be introducing today's speaker, Suja Koreira from Sri Lanka. I just got to know very recently, her cousin lived literally around the corner from where I lived. Small world, as they say. She is a prominent lawyer in immigration, human rights, and nationality. So very well acclaimed professional. I am so proud to have her on this platform speaking about a topic which will hopefully be a conversation starter in certain cultures and communities. Just to start this conversation, I am going to be asking the first question. Hello, Suja.
Hi.
Hi, lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Why is living together is seen as a taboo in certain cultures? Can you enlighten us?
Whether I can enlighten or not, I'm not sure, but I can definitely give my opinion. And I believe the very important or the main reason why living together is frowned upon is because in our culture, marriage has such a high value. Marriage is given such a high priority, the sacred institute, as they call it, that has taken up such a high value that anything that against that, such as living together, is seen as a taboo. It's in a way forbidden by the culture and faith. That's why it's still frowned upon, still not accepted. I purely believe because marriage has such a very important place in our culture and community.
Sure. Thank you. So if it is, marriage is really important and it is seen as a, be all and end all, why marriage is given so much importance in your opinion?
Well, this is it. I was thinking about it from every different angle as to why marriage is such an important aspect of our cultural community. But somewhere along the line, the human race decided that female race or the female gender is not something that can look after itself. Something can be independent, an entity on her own who can look after herself. Therefore, they believe there's required to be some protection for her. And such protection, one of them is the legal rights. It can only be given through marriage and not by living together. That is, I believe, one of the reasons why marriage has a very important position. Of course, there are other elements of it, religious belief, cultural belief. For example, for Christians, it's a sacrament. So not taking up that sacrament and going against it is a sin. So each culture and faith has their input, but at the same time, I believe this importance of legal rights comes within the marriage as an institution, and it doesn't come through cohabitation, as we call it. That is my opinion, purely because if you think about it, in subcontinent law, females do not have rights over their parents' properties. The properties go to the male member of the family. Hence, marriage is the only time that they are given this dowry, which is part of the parents' property given as a gift to the girl. So that's the only way she's going to inherit her parents' property. So when there's no marriage, she has no rights over her parents' property. And if there's no marriage, she has no rights over her husband's property. So it leaves this woman in the middle of nowhere with no rights. So marriage as an institution ensures such rights for the woman. That is one of the reasons which I was looking at when I was coming across certain things. I came across why marriage is such an important aspect. I could be completely wrong. I could be completely, there somebody else could have a completely different opinion, but there are few aspects that puts marriage as an important thing: religious belief, cultural belief, and I also believe the legal right that comes with marriage is also one of the important reasons what makes marriage so important.
Sure. Thank you, Suja. That is, very insightful to know that. So if it is there to protect women as such, the Institute of Marriage is being given to protect women. Does it actually protect women is the second question, which, rises naturally.
Do we really need that protection? Can we not assert the rights on our own? This is where the question begins. That's where the beginning of this cohabitation comes in. Yes, there are still people, I'm not denying, there are still communities where women are still treated as people who cannot look after themselves, that they need protection. I mean, if I look at 19th century Britain, there were women are not allowed to be seen with a man on their own without a chaperone. It's considered a complete taboo. Then they are forced into marriage, or they go for the jewel of honor. This has all happened 200 years ago in this country. But there are still people 200 years later following this. So that exists, I'm not denying, but there are many women who have walked out of that, moved forward, and established their rights. So when they have their own rights established, they don't need this protection, I don't believe.
Sure.
And it shouldn't come through marriage anyway. Marriage shouldn't give this protection. Marriage should be about two people's love and intimate. It shouldn't be about rights. It's not a contractual arrangement. It's a relationship. But we are actually viewing this as a arrangement that gives us rights. It shouldn't be that.
I agree with you, absolutely. And particularly speaking to someone who has walked away from the institute, I agree with that. However, first of all, we have to establish, does that Institute of Marriage even, serve the purpose why it was created? Or is it adding to the problem? I mean, that is a discussion, I'm sure, worth having on this topic.
Well, marriage was probably created when men and women just didn't walk across and say, hello, do you want to go out and start a relationship? It probably created during the time when there was a necessity to be introduction, they need to be introduced into relationship, and people didn't take those steps willingly on their own volition. So it's there. It's a lot of things created in those ways. They exist, but they evolve. But have we evolved with marriage? Are we seeing marriage as a relationship, or are we seeing relationship as a contractual arrangement that's going to give us legal rights? That evolving has not happened in our community. It's my opinion. That's why they're still frowning upon this living together arrangement.
Sure. That is a very valid point what you have raised. So if, living together is going to be the norm, or is going to be accepted more and more, do you think marriage will still have a role to play in the days and years to come in the future generations?
If we consider marriage as a relationship, not as an institution, it has a place all along. It will always have a place. There's nothing wrong with getting married, as long as you're doing it for the right reason, because you fell in love with this person and you want to share your life with this person equally as a partnership. Yes, there's always a place for marriage. There's nothing wrong with that. However, just considering marriage as an act of ticking boxes, making sure the eligibility and suitability criteria are met, and then we enter into this legal arrangement where the terms and conditions are not clear. So we can't even use the ACTA here, the Unfair Contractual Terms Act. So that's no need for that. If we see marriage as a relationship required, it's a relationship two people are happy to enter into, they are more than welcome to, and they should be allowed to, regardless of where they come from, which background they come from. They shouldn't have to be, A had to only be able to meet with A, and B has only to be able to meet with B. That shouldn't be the case. So marriage has a place in our community as long as it's done for the right reason.
Sure. So I agree. Marriage shouldn't be the box ticking exercise for sure. So why do you think it has become a box ticking exercise?
Well, there's so many reasons we can see that. I mean, class, caste, societal positions, money, a lot of things has made it such a bad example. It's so sad that it has become such a bad example. It shouldn't be. If two people liked each other, eventually got to know each other and fell in love and they want to share their life, no one should be able to say, oh, you're not same, you're not this, you're not that. What? It's not donkey and monkey getting married, it's two human beings getting married. So it shouldn't be about, mixed marriages. What is that? What is mixed marriage? As I said, a liger is a mixed marriage because it's between a tiger and a lion. But when it's two human beings, there's no such thing as mixed marriage, and it shouldn't be there as such thing.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's really interesting because we are going to be speaking about mixed marriages in a couple of weeks on the same
great.
platform. So it will be another interesting topic, I'm sure. So, having spoken about the Institute of Marriage and why we should be ticking the boxes, when do you think living together actually has an active role in our society, and why should it be encouraged or allowed, so that, what does it provide to the society or people on a larger scale? That's the question.
I'm not saying it should be encouraged as such. There's no need to encourage anything in relationship. It should be natural. That's the whole basis of this. It should be available. It should be an avenue that's available, a platform that we should be able to take upon as we please. It shouldn't be, oh no, I'm living together, nobody should know about it. It should be, I'm living together with him. I'll see how we get on. That is the difference. There's no need to encourage anything in relationship. People should be able to meet each other, want to be with each other for the right reason, and then take it from there. So There's nothing to encourage. It's there. It should be there.
Sure. I totally get it. So what is your personal insight about living together?
Living together, in my opinion, it makes no difference to marriage. Except marriage gives you some sort of legal rights, but there's cohabitation law in the UK. So even that doesn't matter in the United Kingdom. But culturally speaking, or subcontinent, or countries like our countries, there may be a reason that legal rights may not be available to them. However, when a woman is independent, she's already established herself, she doesn't need that protection. She's probably already has everything in her place. She probably protected herself from anything else rather than this. She's like, I better make sure my rights and my properties are protected from the man I'm going to live with in case if he decides to walk away from me. So that necessarily doesn't arise, but it should be that two people meeting, and until they live together, they don't know what this person going to be like. You can meet someone so often. You can see them here and there. You probably can't even work with them 5 days a week. But until you live together, you don't know whether he picks his nose or not. So those kind of things should be allowed to be learned. That can only happen in living together. The difference is when you're living together and you realize, oh God, she's such a creep, you should be able to leave. Whereas in marriage, it becomes a process of divorce. But, lawyers make good money from that. Good on them. What can you say? But other than that, it doesn't give you anything.
Of course they do. Trust me.
I mean, I understand a lot of people talk about children, and children come into play, and marriage is very important for that. Let me say this. Two happily separated parents are much better than two unhappily living together parents. Children are badly damaged, and their adverse effects are on children when two parents living under the same roof who are very unhappy than two parents living in two different roofs but happy to share the children. It is very important we remember that. A lot of people use children as a reason why should everyone remain in marriage. That's not true. Please don't make that excuse, or it's not even an excuse, as an excuse. Just think about them. Two people should be allowed to be together for the right reason, then the children would be happy. If they're not happy, they are going to be unhappy and unruly children. Unfortunately, that's the truth.
I mean, I agree with that, because even last time we spoke about it, and there's a lot of research has been done, and there's a lot of evidence there to say that happy parents are important for happy children. And also, like you exactly said, parents who are separated, who are happy, are much more nurturing for the children than two parents living together who are not happy. So, I am with that.
And also, I would like to bring this to the attention, but this is about Sri Lanka, if many people are here from Sri Lankan background. The law in Sri Lanka doesn't allow divorce so easily. There are only 3 grounds for divorce. One is impotence. So that means you have to go to a fertility clinic and prove that. Second is infidelity. How the hell are we going to get that proven unless we send a private investigator taking pictures? And third one is malicious desertion. If you purposely partner left them and gone purposely. If he's gone for something else, that's fine. Until he comes back, you have to wait. So when you don't only have these 3 law grounds for divorce, you will be trapped in a very unhappy marriage if you're not happy with them. And Sri Lanka has the lowest divorce rate in the whole world, according to United Nations. And out of the lowest rate, only 1% comes from Hindu backgrounds. That's another thing that is happening in Sri Lanka. This is a research sociology study done by Sri Lanka and United Nations. And it says Sri Lanka has the lowest rate because it's still very much frowned upon. And single households with single mothers or female as the lead, they face a lot of problems, not just from the community, but as in the form of persecution as well. So a lot of things we have to think why this institution is making things difficult for people to choose their own partner and live the lives they want.
Sure. It's a very interesting statistics to know that it's, we are the least, in the entire world. And on top of it, Hindus have only 1%. And okay, what can I say? I belong to that 1%. So that's all I'm going to be saying about that one. Okay, so, there's usually a lot of pressure from both sides of the families. And when someone starts living together, either they don't want them to live together or definitely want them to keep it as a secret.
Or to get them married as soon as possible.
Yes. Okay. The third option, of course. So what do you think of that, and how can we address this issue?
Well, I accept that from the culture we come from, families play a big role in relationship. And especially when it comes to marriage, there is a saying, not 2 people coming together, but 2 families coming together. Yes, they exist. I'm not denying that. And they have good influence as well. No problem. However, the marriage and the choice has to be about 2 people first and foremost. It has to be about just them 2 first. If them 2 are not happy and all the 20 other people in the family are happy, it's not fine. It's not acceptable. First of all, they got to be happy. If there are 10 members in each family and they're all happy, these 2 coming together, but these 2 can't stand each other, what's the point? That's not marriage. That's a contractual agreement. We are entering into an arrangement that, my family and your family tick all the boxes, therefore we're going to be living under the roof together, or we don't like each other. That's what it comes to. But it shouldn't be like that. Families being there for them is very important, especially when relationship breaks down, when things don't go the way we want, people are broken into pieces, and the family support is important at that time. No questions about that. But that shouldn't be used negatively. That shouldn't be used as a tool to force someone into a relationship they don't want to enter. That's the point. The family's influence should be positive, not negative, and it shouldn't be a pressurizing tool. It should be a tool saying, make your decision, we'll be there for you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of children are going to go back home and to speak about it, hopefully. So, and the reason I brought this topic up also because some of the younger generation have put that across for us to speak about it. So hopefully it will make a difference for them. I know, Suja, you were one of the torchbearers. You know, braved it to live together before marriage, which perhaps wasn't easy at all, particularly speaking about a decade or so earlier. So how was your experience living together, and how was your journey living together and then getting married and settling down?
Okay, the problem, it is actually individual's perspective, I must say. Once
Sure.
I decided I'm going to do it, I wasn't ready to listen to anybody else.
Sure.
So that was me. You can't expect the same from everybody. There are others who would want to do it, but at the same time, they don't want to do it. As I said, this year I would have been with my husband for 18 years. So I've actually done this sort of 17 years ago.
Sure.
And at that time, it was unheard of.
I can imagine.
It was unheard of. But then nobody heard of me at that time neither, so it didn't matter. Because I was still young, nobody knew me. I was just going about it. And when we first moved into Kent, there was nobody here. It was just us two. So it didn't matter to anybody. Of course, it mattered to my family, of course, and they weren't happy about it. My mum had her opinion aired to me every single day in every different versions of it. That all happened, I'm not denying. But so almost 18 years on, they all see the point of why I did that. They accept why I did that, and they accept that I made the right choice, but that I am 18 years on in a happy relationship, that I'm not unhappy, or I'm trying to find a way to get out of a relationship. So that's the whole point, because there are many people of my age who got married around the same time when I was starting to live together, which you could imagine, everyone's getting married, you starting to live together. I had it all. But you see there's unhappiness. You see there's incompatibility. You see there's regret. You see like, I have to put up with it for the sake of my children. That, all those happening. And I can happily say I don't do any of those. I can openly say, I'm not happy about this, but I can say I'm happy about my relationship. So that's the difference that I personally believe. I didn't pay attention to many others, what they got to say. That worked for me. But at the same time, this actually worked in my favor, because today I'm very settled in my relationship, that I don't have to worry about anything. That's the difference.
Sure. Thank you so much, Suja.
No problem.
Seeing you, I'm sure everybody thinks it is a good recipe for a good relationship. Okay, so if a youngster or even older people are thinking of living together in their life, any advice you would like to impart for them?
As I said to you, you cannot advise people on relationship or encourage them or do anything. It has to naturally happen. They should be able to, there's two people entering into relationship, they should know how to look after themselves first. Then together they look after each other. That's all it is. It's all about being honest and faithful.
Sure.
Just because you're in a marriage, it doesn't mean they are faithful to each other. And just because two people are living together, it doesn't mean they are unfaithful to each other.
Of course.
That's what we need to know. We should be accept. It's simple things like that.
So my question is, okay, they have decided he or she is the person for them to live together happily ever after, marriage or no marriage. So now they are thinking, okay, fine, we want to just live together for a while. We are not sure about marriage. What can they do to make sure that, they are in a position to do it? And also they're doing, it is sometimes a dilemma, right? Is there anything they have to find out, if that's the best thing for them?
Living together is the process of finding out. You can't find out things before you start living together. It is only during living together you find out, oh, he likes this. Oh, he doesn't like this. Oh, she doesn't like talking about that. Or she doesn't like this TV show. Or she doesn't want to, eat this food. This all comes out during living together. So you can't prepare yourself for anything. You can't prepare yourself for marriage. It all happens. Like nobody has a lesson or course to go and become a mother. People become mother and they take motherhood as it comes along. It's the same with relationship. We can't prepare. However, if anything, I would say that you should know where you stand. You should know that I am entering into this relationship because I would like to spend time, live with this person, but whether I will only time can tell. But my rights are protected because as an independent world, I have all my stuff on my own. That's all. It's a simple thing. But that shouldn't even be the case. If you're starting to live together with someone because you like them, then you shouldn't start with this doubt in your mind.
Sure.
So if you're happy, that you can start.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, I heard you say that, if you're ready, then you go and start. Once you are in that relationship, do you think women more so than men feel a lot of pressure from the families and societies rather than men in certain cultures particularly?
I really wouldn't want to say it's either this gender or that gender, because community is the same. If one family, if somebody is not happy about anyone living together, they're going to comment about it. They're going to pressurize you. They're going to blow in your ears non-stop about this. It's going to happen. It's either party. But from what you're saying, that a woman's mother would pester a bit more, I would say. That's from my personal experience. What people going to say, what's this going to happen? But it's the same effect for the men. They are also entering into this relationship with you. There shouldn't be any difference.
Yes. I agree, but like you said, I perhaps concluded that the girl's parents perhaps are a bit more worried for the very well known reasons, I guess. But I think we are moving to the few centuries we have moved into now, and we have advanced ourselves in many ways. And I think the crux of the matter, what we are talking today, is to have an open mind to change. Am I right? Because change is inevitable. It is going to be part of the human evolution, and we all have to have an open mind to see how things evolve. Am I correct in saying that, Suja?
Absolutely. As I said at the beginning, it's an evolution. Marriage is there, and there's nothing wrong with marriage. It's a celebration. I mean, somebody here has commented, this is Amparo has stated that marriage is a commitment to each other, and it's a celebration. As I already said, there is place for marriage. If you're happy, two people are happy in love and they want to celebrate it, go ahead and do it. There's nothing stopping marriage. Likewise, no one should stop living together as well. That's the point. It's not about one thing is celebrated, whereas other thing is frowned upon. It shouldn't be that. That's my opinion, because when you are actually start living together and things don't work out, that's fine. But if things work out, you go and get married. It doesn't matter. But it shouldn't be just there's only this way possible. There should be this option available to people.
Sure, I agree. So in conclusion, what I understood so far is, you can live together, you can get married if you want to, you can live together and then get married, you can live together and not decide not to get married. It is a matter of choice. Am I right, Suja?
Absolutely. That's what it is. It is a matter of there are people who are lucky in love, who got married and been happily in love forever thereafter. That happens. I'm not saying marriage doesn't work at all. However, what I'm saying is this option should be available. That there shouldn't be the term of unhappily married. That's the point. So if you want to be married, be married. Who's stopping anyone? No one's allowed to stop anyone from embarking on a journey of love. No one should be doing that. Likewise, if there's people think, okay, I'm going to live together first and then get married, they should be able to do the same. Simple as that.
Sure. Thank you so much. So marriage should be about love. Nothing Absolutely. But love. Am I correct?
It should be. It shouldn't be an exercise of ticking box or meeting the eligibility and suitability criteria, as I said earlier. It should be about love. It's two people understanding each other. It's not like not everyone's going to like everything about the other person. But they should be able to accept, okay, I'm going to love this much about this person, but I'm not going to accept this much about it. And I'm going to tolerate this much about this person. It's a mixture of all three.
Of course. So it's not only marriage, any relationship is like that.
It's all about.
family, it is, any relationship is a bit of compromise is the word, isn't it? You have to, but
well, no, don't use the word compromise. It just doesn't work. Don't use the word compromise. It's acceptance. Okay. We accept each other for who they are. I'm not going to compromise. And then what's the point in being in a relationship? It's not about compromise. It's not a word that should be used in that sense in a relationship. It's about accepting each other. Okay. I mean, there's a question just came and saying, does happy marriage exist? Of course it exists. It totally exists. If you got into marriage for the right reason, it exists. Of course, there are people who fall in love and then fall out of love. That happens. That can happen anytime. But that doesn't mean happy marriage doesn't exist. Until the time they fell out of love, they were happily in marriage. So that's what we have to accept. This is evolution. It can happen. Change, like you said, changes are inevitable. It happens. But we just have to learn to accept each other for who we are. That's the first thing. I like everything about you, but I would like you to change this. That's where the problem begins. Don't change them. Accept them with that issue. That's what it is about.
Yes, I totally agree. I think it is two imperfect people making the relationship at least close to the perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
That's all you can do, because nobody is perfect. None of us are. So we have to, embrace people how they are. And again, like you said, people who have been in my coaching program or speaking, they all know that I always tell, we find it so difficult to change ourselves. So then how can we expect that somebody else is going to change for someone else, not for themselves? I think none of us change unless we want to change ourselves. Am I right, Suja?
Sometimes this is another thing. Changes happens as we are together.
Yeah.
The person I was 18 years ago, I wouldn't say I am the same person today. I have evolved. I have changed with time, with experience, knowledge, everything. And we both change together, and we see that, and we accept each other for that. That's fine. But don't expect one person, like, you got to be A, B, C, D, then only I can live with you. Then you have to go find somebody else to live with. That's what it is about. We all change. The things I believed in 18 years ago, I may not believe in today. It changes. Circumstances change. When we got together, I thought I was going to do a career in IT, and he was going to do something else. And today I'm doing this. It changes during that time. So, but we accept each other for who we are. We learn together, we grow up together. That's what it is about. We grow up every single day. We learn something new every single day. So it's going to happen. So changes, we can't say that thing should change. This is the best thing. It can't remain that way. That's not nature. We can't put nature on hold. Likewise, we can't put relationship on hold. We all have to grow together. That we have to accept.
Sure. I totally agree, because, I am definitely not the person who I was even 4 or 5 years back. My profession has totally changed. The personality has changed. The way I see things have changed. So I'm sure it is most of you on this platform, or even if you're listening on Facebook, I'm sure you can relate to it. You're not the same person. Like Suja correctly said, you are not even the same person who you were last week. For example, in my opinion, we lost 2 dear family friends in the past week due to health issues. And, every small experience, every small incident in your life, it changes you. Sometimes you're aware of it, sometimes you're not. That's the only difference. It doesn't mean in any way that you haven't changed. Only it means that you haven't been aware of the change. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are times we decide, we acknowledge, okay, I have this problem, I have this issue. I'm always seem to be losing my temper at this point. I should learn to control that. That's where we make changes to ourselves knowingly. But most of the changes occurs unknowingly. We don't know it's going to happen. It happens because of the circumstances, as you explained. I mean, 1 year ago, all I would have thought about is planning 2 holidays per year. But this year, I can't even think about it. And I'm thinking, okay, how are we going to, what am I going to do about it? How are we going to see other people? How I'm going to continue my relationship with my family? perspectives change, circumstances change, changes happen all the time. I mean, one of the person here just said, I think, is how about having children? Children change everything in relationship. We're not going to we all know that. Children changes everything, from the time you go to bed to what you're going to eat. Everything changes with the arrival of children. But when two people are happy together and they welcome this child together, it would be easier than two unhappy people, or one demanding person and one depressed and down person. And or if two people, after having the children, decided to go their own way, but they accept, okay, we are doing it for the right reason, it would be easier than two people who are forced to live together under the same roof, even though they don't want to. That's what we have to think about. Children will change everything, from what we're going to spend our money on to what, okay, all these days I had nice 3-course dinner with the high protein and everything. All of a sudden it's going to be, that's what's there, I'm going to eat that because I haven't got time to cook. So all these change. And then the partner should also accept that change. So children coming along shouldn't stop each other from loving each other. That's how it should be.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think that is where I guess your insight about living together and creating that foundation of love before you enter that, institute of matrimonial and, having children and everything perhaps fall into place.
Well, I mean, there's somebody also has mentioned that there is no such thing as happy marriage, anyone challenging it. And I'm saying, why do we even have to call it happy marriage? It's marriage. You decided to be together. If you're not happy, then don't be together. Simple sense. That's what we need to learn. We can't call it unhappy marriage and everyone else is unhappy in their marriage, so we should also be unhappy in marriage. No. Choose to be happy. We don't know. So many of our friends and families we lost in the last 1 year. If they were unhappy the day before they die, is that even worth it? So choose to be happy. Put yourself and say, okay, yes, I don't have to put myself first in everything, but I can choose to be happy. So choose happiness.
I agree, because life is so transient, and particularly if 2020 has taught us one thing, it has taught us how precious our life is. And life is too short to live on anybody else's terms. So my question to you and to everyone is, do you want to live your life on your terms or somebody else's? The choice is yours.
Oh, live on your own terms. Live on your own terms. There's no questions about that. Each and every one of us have given one gift in this world, our own life. Everything else is what we make out of. And I mean, every religion, I would say, professes the same thing. You have been given the gift of life. Make the most out of it. Do not end it at your own hands. It's a sin. So make the most to be happy and live in your own terms. There are things that we agree with somebody and we disagree with somebody. That doesn't mean, just because two people disagree, that doesn't mean those 2 points are wrong. They may be right on their own terms. So we can still live in our own terms. As long as you're not unlawful, you're not being unlawful, you're not committing offenses to go to prison, that's unlawful. Up until that point, leave it in your own terms. There are rules and regulations in place to keep us going in the right path, to make the human race world a safer place and just and tolerant place to live in. Accept that. But you can still be happy and live your life on your own terms without offending others.
That definitely reminded me I'm speaking to a solicitor. Okay, Suja, before we go into questions, any parting words, anything you want to say before we go into question time?
Well, what we spoke about is living together still a taboo is our question. And unfortunately, it still remains a taboo in our community, and we have to come out of it. We have to evolve and learn to accept marriage is not the only place for relationship. We can live together and be happy, and we can enter into marriage and celebrate our happiness as well. So let's not frown too much and smile a bit more.
Thank you so much, Suja.
No problem.
I 100% agree. I think choice is power, and take the choice and be who you are and live how you want to live your life. That's only one life. So
Yeah,
just,
but
live on your terms.
again, choice. We can still make the wrong choice. We are human after all. We can make wrong choices, but learn to come out of it. Just because we made one wrong choice, it doesn't mean we have to spend the rest of the life putting up with it. Don't regret. Don't continue to live in regrets. Accept, okay, I made a wrong choice. It's now time to fix it and come out of it. That's very important.
Sure. Thank you so much, Suja. I definitely enjoyed the questioning time. So it's a pleasure having you on the platform. Before I move on to the question time, I am going to announce the next speaker for the next week. In honor of the Valentine's Day, to celebrate love, what we have been speaking all along, next week the topic is going to be 5 languages of love. The speaker is going to be Kumbi Adeola. She's a charity co-founder, relationship mentor, event manager, life skills trainer, and a jewelry designer. I cannot wait for next week to talk about that topic as well, because I might learn a thing or two about it. So looking forward to it. For the audience, please keep your questions ready. We will be allowing everybody to ask a question for another 20 minutes. So please keep your questions brief and straight to the speaker, so that we can keep it in time and give as much opportunity for everyone to ask the questions, and it will allow the speaker to be giving more effective answers as well. I thank you all in advance. However, once we finish that 20 minutes, we will be staying back, what I call it after party, but it is actually networking and Q&A, which will be not a very structured session. So all of you here on Zoom are most welcome to stay back. And people who are listening on Facebook, we are happy for you to register and join for the Q&A if you want to. But for the next 20 minutes, we are still on Facebook. So feel free to be there and ask the questions.
Can I say on behalf of Meet Menaca Group, I like to give a very big applause to Suja. Very inspirational, very good speaker on a very controversial topic. I'm not going to comment about this topic much, but one comment I like to make, you made a bridge between the future generation and the past generation. I consider myself in the past generation. One comment I will make is, you made usually the girl's mother agitate a bit if there is a relationship issue. There are a lot of fathers are here with daughters. I would say it is more father's agitation. I have my own experience of 3 months of a relationship. My father really pressurized to marry. I think it's because they consider their daughters have to be secured. So that is the only comment I like to make. I don't want to ask any other question or anything, but I know there will be a lot of questions and comments will be made from the group here. But it is a wonderful talk, Suja. You did really well.
Thank you.
I'm very proud to say that I belong to, at least in few groups, we belong to the same community, and think it's a good topic for the.
Well, we both are Vincentites.
But I don't like to comment much about it, because I'm a person who value marriage as well. So at the same time, happiness is important. So I leave it with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kanta, and thank you so much for asking Suja. Though I haven't met Suja in another group, but thank you so much. And I know that I have already had so many different questions to you, Suja. So let me start by asking the questions that I have received first. So the first question to you is, what is the percentage for this to happen to a Buddhist and Christians? So Hindus, you said, because it is 1%.
Yeah, because it's 1%. I have that figure actually. It is available on. I can get that for you. It's available. I'll actually share the report with the group shortly, so you can see for the It is actually. I remember Catholics were 36%, Christians were 35%. when I checked yesterday. That's from what I remember, because it happened to be, I was researching for a upcoming hearing and I came across this report. So it's nothing that I went and looked. Yeah.
So if my mathematics is right, 71% Catholics and Christians together, 1% is Hindus, so 72%, which leaves the 28% out.
Percent out, yeah.
Right? Okay. So that must be the Buddhists and Muslims together. Okay. So the question 2, what is Suja's views of religious convictions?
Religious convictions about marriage?
Yes. I'm hoping, because it is about marriage.
About marriage. Well, as I said earlier, some religion, well, Christianity, for example, sees this as a sacrament, and it is important for them to enter. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. This is each person's decision. If there is someone who is actually very religious, and for them that's what most matters, and they make a decision, no, I don't want to live together and I want to get married, perfectly all right. Nobody's going to stop them. All I'm saying is, this option of being able to live together prior to marriage should be available to everyone. That's all it is. But if someone is religiously believe that's not right for me, that's fine. Because what's right for me doesn't always mean right for somebody else.
Yes. Can I add that, provided it doesn't get imposed on somebody else, their view should remain their view and not make it somebody else's view.
And when it comes to relationship, it should be about the two people in the relationship. It should be about their view, nobody else's.
Yes. The next question, the same part 2 of the same question is, can religious guidance also help?
Well, there are as I said, each religion has different opinion. But like in Hinduism, marriage is considered the only way that's sacred. For example, if we take British monarchy, to date, even though in her 90s, the Queen is still as the reigning Queen. She's not stepping down and giving it to her son, purely because the Church of England's leader is the monarch. And the monarch is not allowed to get married, it's not allowed to get divorced and get married to someone whilst the other partner, the divorced partner, is still alive. Even though its partner has deceased, Parker Bowles is still about. So the Queen is under so much awkward situation where she is unable to step down to allow her own son to be there as the next king because of this issue. So it happens, but each person's perspective is different. And if that religion's guidance is allowing people to be only together as married, and if you are believing in it, that's entirely up to you to take that decision.
Sure, I agree with that one. So the third question is, when children are involved, how does that have an effect when you're living together? I take it.
Okay, when you're living together, as long as you are happily living together, it gives children a very happy home to live in. So if you're living together, you're still living together. You're not doing anything wrong. And if that is helping the children to be in a happy home, so be it, rather than being two unhappy people living together under the name of marriage.
Yes. So I think it is really important to understand living together is not a crime. I think it's as simple as that.
I really am not going to prosecute anyone for that. No one's going to be arrested or persecuted for that. It's not an unlawful situation. It's two people deciding to be together. As I'm saying, kept on saying from the beginning, I am not against marriage. Eventually, I did get married. I'm still married. I am not against marriage. But if two people want to do it as marriage or as living together, that should be okay.
And I think the point is, you should get married as and when you think it is the right time for those two individuals.
I'm going to ask people who are asking about marriage and living together as a comparison and everything. What is that piece of paper guarantees you that the living together doesn't guarantee you?
I can tell you it doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah, it does not guarantee you happiness for sure. So why? Ask that question.
Not only, it doesn't only not guarantee happiness, but it doesn't guarantee anything. Only difference is you will be coming out of a relationship or you will be divorced if you come out of a marriage. That's the only difference.
You will be called a divorcee, but otherwise you're not.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no labeling here. There's no name calling, no labeling. It allows you to be who you are, continue to be who you are. As I said, a piece of paper a signature in a piece of paper does not guarantee you anything but a right over matrimonial home, but you can still have that whilst living together if you put your interest registered. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, coming to that point, Suja, I'm sure that a lot of people are not aware of it, that even if they live together, they do have some rights.
I'm not completely versatile in law of every country, but I can talk about British law. There is law available for cohabitation. It's still seen as a relationship. Yes, marriage is easier. For example, if I put it together, if two people are married, it's easier to prove their relationship. If two people are living together, we will have to do a bit more to prove their relationship. That's what it comes to. If two people are married, a marriage certificate proves, okay, they are in a relationship. If people are living together, I may have to get 6 different correspondents to prove that they are living together. They've been living together at this address for the past 48 months. That's all the difference is going to make. Other than that, the laws are the same. The cohabitation is there. But there are some organizations, however, still only allows rights to married partner. Some organizations, for example, rights over pension, still only allowed, they are not allowed to nominate a person. It still exists. It happened. It is still existing. I can be 100% sure about it.
Okay, fine, sure. I'm just trying to read the messages what people are sending to me.
Yes, there are a few coming through.
Okay, so is living together legal in Sri Lanka?
Is living together legal in Sri Lanka? At the moment, there's nothing in the law says that it is not, that it's prohibited by law. According to my knowledge, it doesn't say living together is prohibited in Sri Lanka.
Sure.
Because it still happens in upper strata of the community. We just don't know about it. Everything happens above there. We just don't know about it because nobody talks about it. Until it comes in the newspaper, oh, wow, this happened, we don't know about it. So it's not illegal as such. However, there won't be any rights unless these two people entered into a relationship, decided, okay, I'm going to keep my financial business this way, you're going to keep your financial business that way, then they have their arrangement amongst themselves. It doesn't give automatic rights like in the United Kingdom, no.
Sure. Come on, look around you, in the UK at least. I mean, there are people who are living together. Like Suja rightly said, that only difference is we don't speak about it. We prefer to pretend that it doesn't happen. But it does happen. Even I definitely know people who live together. I'm sure, Suja, you know people who live together. Some people say they're living together and most of them don't. That's the only difference. Am I right?
Absolutely. The problem is there's a lot of things we don't want to talk about. I mean, your previous platforms here, you talked about mental health and everything.
Yeah.
We still don't talk about them. It happens. It's like the massive elephant in the room. Just because we don't talk about it, doesn't go away. It's there. So accept it. We just have to accept it. We are still struggling to accept many things in life. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think we will have to embrace, like we said before. I think that is the issue. People are changing. Our generations to come will change. The question is, are we going to embrace and give them space to live how they want to live and let them grow how they want to grow? Or we are going to curtail in their way to say, this is how you want to live, and, actually put pressure on our relationships with them. So, that's a question we all have to think carefully and choose, I think.
Again, for each country, the rules and the lifestyle differs. Mm-hmm. What we accept as one thing as like, oh, this is the way to be, this is politeness, this is manners. Another country, it's not accepted. For example, for a Tamil person to sit in front of an older person with the legs crossed is considered rather impolite. But in a Chinese culture, that is considered polite. So it changes, it differs from community to community. So we're not going to be able to put, okay, this is the only way forward. That we cannot do that. And we are living in a multicultural society now. We are exposed to very many things, very many cultures. So we are going to learn to accept other people's culture in our lives. From food. I mean, if we can eat Chinese food and Indian food every Friday on a takeaway, but we can't accept Chinese people or Indian people, then we just have to learn, think about ourselves. We got to think where we're going wrong. This acceptance has to come. It's quite a long way away, but hopefully one day or the other we'll reach there.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is, when you're living together happily is fine. If anything goes wrong in the relationship, who is going to suffer in the society, man or woman?
Okay, if you have thought about the society, then you wouldn't have entered into this living together arrangement in the first place, because that would have stopped you by then. You wouldn't have even embarked on this adventure to begin with. So when you're separated, whether man or a woman, whether you're going to war, whether man's going to be getting the issues or the woman's going to be getting the issue, you shouldn't worry about it. It's about your decision. You made a decision for yourself, not for somebody else. And things don't work. Things not always work out. Like our track and trace system, it never worked out. We are still going on, aren't we? So it doesn't always work out. But we say, okay, it didn't work out. That doesn't mean I'm going to frown upon it. I'm going to live on there and always cry over it, dwell on it. I'm going to move on. Yes, come here. Society can say, if you do well, they'll still talk. Oh, how is she doing well? If you don't do well, she's not doing well. It happens. We can't always wait for their comments and always worry about what they got to say. Society is always going to say, yes, if the man's going to be able to move on, the woman should be able to move on. And it's their choice.
Someone who is in those shoes, I can tell, I don't think it makes much difference. My point of view is people will say something anyway, anything you do in life. There will be some people who will embrace it, like it, and there will be few who won't like it and will criticize you, regardless what you do in life. So as well as live on your own terms and what makes you happy and what makes your loved one happy. I think that's, the principle, I think the best way forward.
If people are not going to let you live happily, why worry? You've decided to be happy, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. Be happy and be merry. So for people who are in the Zoom, please hang on for the after party. For those who are on the Facebook, we will have to say goodbye until next Saturday to talk about 5 languages of love to celebrate the Valentine's Day in style next Saturday at 3 o'clock as usual. Until then, stay safe, be happy, and keep smiling.
Thank you.